am so excited to be back here with you guys sharing some goodness. But let's make something very clear right now. These bangs, they are in some serious need of help without access to my stylist. Let's not even talk about my eyebrows. Holy crap. You guys, look at that. They're seriously out of control. Okay, moving on. So I do want to say before anyone puts me on blast for not following the stay-at-home order that the next several interviews I'm going to be releasing, they were recorded well before all of this craziness happened. And only one of them was recorded at the very beginning of when we became aware of the virus, before everything was shut down. So no need to put me on blast. Move right along with your judgment. It's not needed here. But for the awesome humans who are out there wanting to know what the hell happened to the show and what is coming next, I want you to please stay tuned as the script gets flipped and I am the one in the hot seat answering questions. Check it out. You are gonna love it.
Welcome, guests. As you can see, we have flipped the script and I am here to interview my friend Wendy. And I think what happened was, being friends and seeing each other at different places and talking, at different places, I've come to understand your plight and some of the issues that have been coming up. And just recently, I spoke at an event that Wendy was at, and there was also another speaker that was there. And, I put two and two together after I'd seen you and you were emotional. And I realized that there was a speaker there talking about like licensing and trademarking and that kind of thing. And I thought that's definitely what's getting to her. So I know that other people have suggested to you that you get interviewed, but I thought I'm the best one for the job. Really, it's
there's no doubt
just
about
my
that.
jam. So I'm going to ask the hard questions. But why don't you tell us what happened? Give us the overview, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty gritty, and hopefully we'll all learn something from it.
Right. So, Shane and I did a video in the very beginning that talked about where Lunchbox Wisdoms came from, and how it got started, and all that kind of goodness. So I won't go into that.
Right.
I really kind of had an emotional attachment to that name.
Yep.
And I went back and forth literally for almost 2 years trying to decide if Lunchbox Wisdoms was the name that I should take on as I expanded and grew. Yeah. Did that have the same connotation as what I wanted to share?
Right.
Which of course it did, because it's me every single day.
Yeah.
And so then I had this whole weird, I can't make that my business because I can't attach money to my relationship, since Lunchbox Wisdoms really got started as part of my relationship and how to improve my marriage.
Interesting.
So I fought it. I fought it for about a year or so, and came up with some different names and options. Nothing ever felt right.
Yeah. So
I never went that direction. And I just went, this is ridiculous. Yeah. I've wasted now almost 2 years thinking about the things that I want to do. Yep. And I haven't done any of it because I am emotionally attached.
Yeah. So I actually sat in a focus group with my dear Wendy right after we had just met. And I remember thinking, because I'm such a doer, to the point of like, I think I just screwed that up because I jumped in, head first. So for me, it was like, just do it. Just do it. And so I think that's what you're talking about. Like,
yes.
I just don't, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
And I think the reason that I really did those focus groups and right in that time in my life, there was so many things going on.
Yeah.
My father had gotten really, really sick.
Yep.
And we knew he was passing.
Yeah.
And I was like, life is so short. I have to do the thing. So
totally.
So that really got the ball rolling and trying to decide what I was going to do moving forward with Lunchbox Wisdoms. That focus group was partly to do some market research. Does it even make sense?
Yes.
So all of those things happened, and I was super excited and all in and moving forward. And I was so happy
Yeah.
with the direction that things were going.
Yeah.
And I had been working to get into a program locally with the University of Idaho Law Department.
Oh, yeah.
They have attorneys that are
Yep.
working to be in business law or contract
Yep.
law, trademark law.
Yep.
And I had gotten accepted into their program.
Yeah.
So I am assigned a law student, obviously working under a full-time lawyer, to do my trademark for Lunchbox Wisdoms.
Because you were not just going to be, this wasn't just going to be like an online type of thing, but you were going to do merchandise and really brand this, like I have a brand, but I don't have t-shirts and I don't have, like items that I'm worried about being trademarked. So it's different because you were going to print it on things.
Yes. So I've been working with some manufacturers over in China to develop a journal. I've got a calendar that I was working on.
I remember,
we had started manufacturing t-shirts already.
Right.
So there was a whole bunch of things because I've been working under Lunchbox Wisdoms for more than 5 years. I've done tons of research to try to make sure that I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes, that it was working. I didn't even use the hashtag for a really long time just for that very reason.
I wanted you to give the overview, but it brings me to my question of like, how, if you did all that research, how did it come about that now you can't use it?
So that was a real shocker. When I sat down in that meeting and that poor law student, bless his little heart. You could just see the terror in his eyes when he had to tell me, because they had heard the backstory and everything.
Yeah.
And he says, unfortunately, this is what we found in our research. He says there is another company. He says it's not the exact name, but it is close enough. And they are selling something that is so similar to what you're developing.
And you didn't find that?
No. And I didn't find it because they don't operate under that name. Oh. They operate under a parent brand name.
Oh, man.
So, while they have that name on the individual products, that's not how they're marketed necessarily. But they've had the patent since 2008.
Okay, so let's go back a little
trademark.
bit. So you have been operating under Lunchbox Wisdoms. You started and you did research and just didn't find what these lawyers now have found, but you started printing merchandise, doing all of this stuff. And then what prompted you to go to the attorneys if you went to the attorneys to start the process of patenting and trademarking your stuff?
Correct.
Okay. And so then they went and did more in-depth research and found that this other company is too close to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And does it just stop you in your tracks?
Yeah, without a doubt. I was literally devastated.
Yeah, I remember.
Everything that I had worked for more than 5 years just felt like it was wasted. But it's complicated because it's not wasted, and I still
not at all.
The messages that we have shared and the connections that we have made through Lunchbox Wisdom will never go away.
No,
but my dream for what it could become, died in an instant. It was so hard.
And I want to make sure that I tell you that all of us and those watching and your friends, when I go and see the Lunchbox Wisdoms, I do not associate it with a brand called Lunchbox Wisdoms. I associate it with you. Yeah. And so regardless of what comes of that, I just want you to know that it embodies the essence of you as a person, you as a brand, regardless of how it goes forward. Right. And, I'm not giving you any type of advice, just this maybe comfort and understanding that I'm not trying to appease you or whatever, but I definitely don't see it as just this brand. If you were to call it, I don't know. I don't have a witty quip. Right. But if you were to call it something else, it still Wendy Alexandre.
Right.
Like, that's all there is to it. So that being said, what happened when it stopped you in your tracks? What was like the next step? Like what, I mean, it was just done.
Yeah,
Did you start thinking of what do I do?
Not necessarily. At first, I was just so shocked that all I did was continue to robotically move. Like I cried a lot.
Yeah.
And literally just kept doing all of the things that I was doing outside of moving forward with manufacturing. Like I stopped that.
Well, yeah.
I immediately called and went, okay, we're gonna hold off on all of that. Luckily, we were still in the design phase of everything. So while I had paid for samples and we were working on new alliterations, things like that, I hadn't ordered any product. Outside of some very small journals, which is, I spent less than $1,000 on.
Yeah.
So I felt like...
And you can just give those to us and we're not going to really report it.
I felt like the financial loss at least was curbed a little bit. Because I know people who have gotten further in the process than I was that have lost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too.
It's just terrifying. So
is there no way to contact this company and be like, hey, can we do it too? Like, how does that even work?
I suppose that I could. Anyone who goes through the effort and hires an attorney to set up a trademark does so for a reason. They're protecting their brand.
True.
And there I've been on the website many a times, of course, to check it out. And their products are very similar to what I was creating. So I really had to kind of take that all in and step back and go, okay, that's not the purpose.
Right.
But moving to the other side of that has been a whole different ballgame.
Okay, what's the other side of it?
At this point, I am not going to change Lunchbox Wisdoms.
Okay.
It is too important to too many people.
Definitely.
And that doesn't have anything to do with me. That is whatever is needed, in my opinion.
In the sense of your online influence and your branding and the things that we see, the motivational images and that kind of thing, that's what's staying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That will stay just as it is, as a positive influence.
Right.
To combat some of the negativity in this world.
I love it so much.
Nothing else.
I will see it and be like, what? Was she in my brain? Or not even that, but like, how did she know what I needed to hear today? Like literally at that moment. And it's one of the coolest things ever. Like just our community here and the group of people that we are so, like I walked in and you told me about the interview you had earlier and it was like, there's so many amazing people. Those of you watching, like so many amazing people in our lives. And it's so cool. And it's a collective like energy that is, it's just, we're all sort of helping each other, but those in particular are just creating such a positive energy online.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I have zero doubt that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
None at all. It feels so good. It's easy. I mean, there's hard work involved by all means.
Of course.
But the production of it and moving forward and the people that are coming to me from like I'm getting referred to people that I've never even met before that I'm like, are you serious? Like you've been doing this in our community and I've lived here for 20 plus years and I've never heard of this.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you saying? Like,
yeah.
So I'm so excited to be able to be even just a tiny, tiny little part of helping them share their message.
Right.
That I just, I love it. I literally love every minute of it.
I'm so glad. That's amazing.
So I am going to continue. Obviously, the brand has got to change a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So how's that going to work?
So I decided, it's very funny that you said it doesn't matter. No one sees it as Lunchbox Wisdoms because it's just Wendy Alexandre because that's where everything will be.
Yep.
I just decided that it doesn't need a name.
Right.
It just needs my name.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what I'm sharing is little
Exactly.
pieces of me.
Yes.
So it will be, everything will be under Wendy Alexandre.com.
Good.
And it will be creator of Lunch Box Wisdoms, and it will link to what I'm doing here. This show's name, while the purpose will stay exactly the same,
Yep.
which is sharing wisdom, humor, inspiration, and motivation in less time than you have for lunch,
Yep.
will remain exactly the same with a new name called My Whim Life
I love
by
it.
Wendy Alexandre.
And I know from, being in your life that you really mulled over it and asked people and, tried to figure it out. But I now that I hear you say it, like, you're just staying true to yourself.
Yeah.
And like I said Saturday, like, being ruthlessly true to yourself means, asking for people's input, but ultimately it's your decision.
Yeah.
It's what you want.
Yeah.
And it comes full circle. I hadn't even thought about this, but I just had a conversation with a client on Wednesday who's, we built her website out for what the thing is that she's trying to promote and do.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, you know what though? This is like, it's you, but that's just like a piece of it. So I think maybe that's another point that we want to get across is that, so much nowadays, because it's the same with me. It's all under Brooke J Lacey, the speaker part, the entrepreneur part, the podcast. All of that is not separate. It's all one umbrella.
Absolutely.
And it's huge to be able to get that across to people that, there's nothing like being just completely true to you. And I think some people feel like it's arrogant or, a little full of yourself to be like, Brooke J Lacey, like I'm everything. But it's not, because it's so true to you in particular that everything else just kind of like flows around it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Totally, because I think I definitely had that, well, I don't want to call it my name. That's so pretentious.
Right.
And
I'm all like, cool, that's totally me. But yes, exactly.
Yeah, it felt weird to step into that. And I think that was part of my hesitation and part of my struggle. Like, do I really want to say that I'm doing all that? And I'm like, well, I am.
Exactly.
I'm doing all of those things.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like I'm pretending.
Right.
Or I'm taking someone else's stuff.
Right.
Like, I'm doing all those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I changed the podcast name to say With Brooke Lacey. And now there's another one, With Brooke Lacey, because that's what it is. So I think that's amazing. I'm super excited to see, because now it's like the world opens up and you see this huge, vast possibility in front of you, because now you could do all kinds of different things.
Right.
You could, sell your crochet projects under Wendy Alexandre.com. Please don't crochet.
That is not happening.
No.
Like, no one wants me to crochet anything. I am not skilled.
We could start another video series under Brooke and Wendy. I mean, there's so many possibilities that can happen. That was absolutely the smartest move. And we have to obviously say that when shit happens, it usually always produces a better scenario.
Right.
And so as much as that hurts and sucks and all that stuff, do you feel like this was the best thing, that the universe was telling you that this is the direction to go? Or do you still really hate the fact that all happened?
No, I think it was really, really important that I go through that for several different reasons. But it reminds me that my first instinct is probably the best.
Right.
I question myself all the time.
Right.
And I questioned myself about monetizing Lunchbox Wisdoms for 2 years.
Right.
And still went with it because I was like, I don't really have anything else.
Right.
What else do I have to offer? That's all people know.
Yep.
Is that either real estate or Lunchbox Wisdoms?
Right.
And I wasn't strong enough in my power at that point
Yep.
to make a different decision.
Right.
So I think going through it and then being forced to put it back where it was, which was just my give back,
Yep.
put it exactly where it needed it to be.
Because now you're going to be monetizing other things. Do you want to talk to us about your other under the umbrella of Wendy Alexandre? What else is going on?
Yeah. So The next thing that will be coming out will be my group coaching program.
Yep.
I have only done one-on-one coaching,
Right.
and I have only done it by referral. I have never
like marketed
it or advertised it.
Right.
I had a page for a while that I put other quotes on
Right.
and tips and stuff.
Right.
But I never said, hey, here's what I'm offering.
Yeah.
You know, never. Just because the people that I was coaching, I had more than enough.
Right.
I've always had more than enough.
Exactly.
But as I've started putting together some mastermind groups and doing teaching some classes,
Right.
like there is a really big need for some of the things that I'm able to teach, which
Right.
again, it's just about acknowledging that you have information that
Right.
you can help other people to grow with.
Right.
And that's really been the pieces of the puzzle that I hadn't seen before.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of taking all the things that all of my individual coaching clients have seen value with, have grown their business with, putting them into a more succinct package.
Right.
So I'll be doing a coaching program.
And I see that a lot, you know, being on like sort of the back end of things, literally I'm a software developer, web developer, that I have clients that are building these masterminds. And for a while I'd be like, what the hell, you know, like I know more than this person. And then it hit me that like, and so many big entrepreneurs out there are saying, like big entrepreneurs are saying, this is the time of knowledge brokering. And, I think that's trademarked, but whatever. The whole like idea of taking your knowledge and selling it, because, you know, higher education is so expensive. When we get to be, you know, well into our career, I don't have time to like go back to school and apply and do all that. So this idea that we can just go online and learn like bits and pieces of what other people have learned is hugely important. And then it can also turn into a business and be important for our lives to be able to make money at it. Yes. And we offer things that are important to other people. So I just see it a lot with being able to I build those, you know, online tools for people. And then I realize I could probably be doing that. You could be doing it, you know, coaching people to be able to do it. It's kind of just this big, lovely circle of knowledge.
Right.
So it's pretty incredible. And I commend you for doing that.
Thank you.
Because you're so good at it.
Thank you.
I was able to sit in, well, I think I'm part of one of the masterminds. And I think I am part of one of the masterminds. And it was one of those things where I like sat in there and was like, I know all this stuff, you know. And those of you know me, I'm not really that arrogant. I've just been doing this a really long time. Like a really long time, like a ridiculously long time. And not just the entrepreneur thing, but the tech thing. So when I usually sit in those, I'm like, what can I offer people? You know, like, do you need questions answered? But I realized that in that particular group, there was so much that I gleaned from that. And I think that's a good testament to have somebody who's kind of like, you know, what else do I have to learn? I really did. And I look forward to the next one. And I look forward to like the way that you organized it, and that it was just like an open and honest conversation with people. And it was just great. There was wine.
And pizza.
It was
great.
Yeah. Being on the diet like I am, I was like, dang it, you guys. But no,
that was really a last minute decision.
It was a last minute decision. We were there for like 3 hours. I mean, it was just
fantastic.
So good.
Yeah.
And each of us kind of realized quickly what we're good at and what we can offer. And then, you know, at that point when I realized, boy, I'm not as good as I thought I was about that. And, you know, what can I glean from that? So it was really cool. And I'm excited to see how other groups go for you.
Yeah. Some of my favorite things to teach some of my clients, and that I'll be building some of the courses on is, there's so many free tools out there.
Yes.
So many free tools, and so many people don't understand that.
Right.
Yeah. And they're so easy to use, super user friendly.
Yeah.
And so my whole goal is to gather as many of those free tools as I can.
Right.
Make sure that I know how they operate, how they work.
Yep.
I'm lucky that I spent my first years out of high school getting a degree in graphic design. It has helped me so tremendously throughout my career.
Right.
And
I know how to build my own websites. I don't need to do it. Yeah.
Right.
I get it.
It's so great. But I have some serious skills that most people don't have.
Right.
And so being able to gather some of those free tools, because you don't need to have Illustrator.
No, you don't.
Or Adobe Photoshop or whatever to just do what you basically need for your small business.
Exactly.
So I really want to be able to share those free tools, make sure that people know how to use them in at least the most basic way, so that they can save some time, free up their time to work in their business as much as possible so that they don't have to work on their business all the time.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
I had a conversation with another small business owner friend of mine, and she was like, I want to go forward and I want to create this business. However, I refuse to write the content. Like, I just can't. It's so huge. There's so much. And she's going on and on and on about all the reasons that she can't.
I feel that way too.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Right. But
there's so many ways to do it.
I laid out a formula for her, and the next day she was like, I literally just wrote 5 months worth of content in one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, good. I told you. I said, once you have a framework, it's actually so easy. But if you don't have a framework, then it doesn't work.
So is any of that going to be in person? Like when you did the one with us, it really did turn out well. I will give some feedback that sometimes in those group settings, especially for someone like me that has, social anxiety and that kind of stuff, it was a lot of sensory overload. Do you feel like that is the best way? Like, are you going to be exploring like different ways in person and online, or really this is going to just be online?
This will mostly be online. Yeah. So I will do, each person who signs up for it will get one-on-one calls with me.
Cool.
I will also do some group Zoom calls where people will have a chance to ask questions. Yep. Then I can answer. We can kind of do sort of a mastermind type of scenario in a more structured environment.
Yeah, totally.
And then I will also have coursework that they will be able to complete, worksheets and things. So it will be much more structured than just an open, we are all sitting in a room eating pizza and wine. So it'll be much more structured than that. Cool. But it will still have the freedom on our group calls where you can do the Q&A and people can feedback back and forth. And build that community with each other, because I don't know everything. Right. I definitely don't know everything.
It has to be, a collective.
Yes.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. So
how are you? Let's get to the meat of it. Like, how are you feeling? What should we take away from this? Like, because so many roadblocks get, so many wrenches get thrown in. I know I've dealt with a lot over the last, couple of years, switching businesses and all of that. Wrenches just get thrown and thrown and thrown. Yeah. How are you feeling about what has happened? You were obviously very emotional on Saturday, so it's still raw. Yeah. What's going on in your head? What should we take away from this? Like, how are you dealing with it?
So I think there are definitely moments where it still breaks my heart. Yeah. That it didn't work out the way that I thought it would. But how much of life works out the way that we exactly as planned?
Not really any.
Really none. Really none.
And when it does, you're like, hey, all right.
So while I do have that little bit of heartbreak, I also am super excited about the direction that I'm going. When I finally got clear, which I just want you to know, you can't figure out. Like, you literally cannot figure out when you're in that stuck place, in that emotional space.
No.
There's no figuring it out. No. So stop freaking trying.
Right.
Yeah. Stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Go do something creative. Yeah. Go hang out with friends and be social. Like anything to get your mind off of it.
Yes.
Some people meditate for that exact same reason.
Right.
Whatever it is for you, you should freaking do that.
Yes.
Because sitting on it and stewing on it and sitting in an event where they're talking about the importance of it was not working for me. I literally sat there at the table and was just crying. I would not stop. I was like, I can't. I have to leave as they're talking about the importance of trademark and making sure that you protect your brand and all the things. I was like,
and I was
mind.
Literally there. I had just gotten off the stage and she comes over to, like, as if, I think you apologized for leaving, and it hit me right because I heard the person, but I was in my own little world.
Sure.
And I'm just hugging on you like, yeah, I get it, girl. I get it. Thank you for being here. I totally get it. I've been in those positions before, like where it's so straight in your face that, yeah, I totally understood. But sometimes it's also like, it's just good to hear those things and realize, all right, I'm getting past it. Right. But yeah, there's no reason to rub salt in that wound at all. But that's amazing. I have been living by I think somebody posted, thank God for inspirational internet memes, because, and I wouldn't call Lunch Box Wisdoms an inspirational internet meme, but sometimes someone will post something and you're like, hey, that works. And somebody posted, the how will be shown to you.
Right.
And for somebody like me with it's all logic and, this plus this should equal this. And that never happens, just like we were just saying. And I mean, I literally tattooed it to my arm that the how will be shown to you. When you just surrender to that, the how will be shown to you. It has to. The universe has to align with what you are doing in the scientific, logical world, especially of like quantum physics. It literally will align with you. Right. And when we stop trying to figure out the how, how do we get past this? We figured out why, because you're not supposed to be creating that merchandise. You're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be doing this other thing. Yes. And that's why that all happened. Yeah. But how are you going to move on? That's just going to be shown to you. Right. And it was.
And that really was like, so that moment was really my breaking point. Right. Like that's when I was like, I can't. So I came home, I like binge watched some Sugar Rush, people making cakes and cupcakes and for like 3 hours.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I just sat there and watched it in my sweats with my bowl of popcorn and my chocolate chip cookies that my mom
only
had
3
made.
hours.
I know.
It would have been like 3 days for me, but yeah.
But I just did that for a little while and literally stopped thinking about it.
Yeah.
Stopped thinking about it at all.
Yep.
And I think I sent my business coach a message on Monday midday, and I sent her a Voxer and I said, I got my groove back.
Good
Just
girl.
want you to know.
Yep.
So, and then I just kind of went to work and started recreating and started going, okay, this needs to go over here and this needs to go over here, and separating things out on my Trello board and going, ah!
Totally.
So.
God bless Trello.
I know.
Oh my God, I love Trello so much. Lesson number 1. We're going to talk to you about the free services that she's talking about. Trello, number 1. Maybe we'll get some royalties off of this. Maybe they'll contact us and send us, I don't know what they would send us. I don't care, because your service is amazing.
Right. Agreed.
In my world where I have a client that, needs to give me links to things or images or whatever I need to build their website, and I build a Trello board for it. We're not going to get into it all completely, but go check it out because it saves my life.
It's okay. I will be teaching a class.
Exactly. So this is amazing. I'm so glad that we were able to do this. I think it was really important to get your story out and have people understand that even when you do tons of research about something and really you're diligent about it, something's going to throw a wrench. And if it's not meant to be, it's just not meant to be. And don't let that halt you in your tracks, because there's always the next step, and the how will be shown to you, and it's going to become something even better.
Right.
So
yeah, one of my classes is actually on overwhelm and getting unstuck. So it's really funny to go through, not funny, hard and funny, but to go through that process of getting yourself unstuck,
right.
Walking through those processes, which I really kind of did after I had my binge watch section. I was like, okay, the next day we're going to do some meditating. We're going to sit in silence for a little while. Then we're going to do something creative to get the other side of my brain working, and not on the how do I fix this? How do I Tetris this? Because that's one side of the brain how can I just flow with what's already going on? Right. I downloaded an app on my phone called Happy Color, so I can just color pictures with the one.
I love that.
It totally frees my mind from anything else when I'm coloring that picture. I literally can't think about anything else. So
I love that.
It's fun because I got to try out some of the things that I teach on a pretty deep level. And
that's so cool. Because awesome. I feel like it's something that when people do start to provide their knowledge, you do have to have some life experience.
Yes.
I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan, and he talks a lot about the 21-year-old motivational speaker, and it just isn't a thing. I would never have stood on stage and talked about any of that stuff if I didn't have 28 years behind me. So, I mean, I'm not saying wait 28 years, but you really do have to. I mean, the point is, people are going to be able to glean so much from you because of how much you've gone through. And you're not just deciding, I'm going to tell all this story, try to help people just because I want to. It's like you realize there's so much to be taught, and so many people are going to get, help from this. So that's a pretty big deal.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm excited to move into some stuff that I'm really passionate about, like personal responsibility. They call it work for a reason. Right. Some things that, some real truths that I think that some people just haven't grasped onto. Right. That I really feel is important to talk about, especially with some of the changes in the climate and some of the entitlement you see. So I'm really excited. I've kind of stayed out of anything controversial, not on purpose. No. Like I never even thought about it. Right. I think I wasn't sure that what I had to say had any significant difference. But the more I have conversations in some of those topics, the more I've found my voice and going, okay, I actually do really have a strong opinion about this. Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, my kids are like, you've always had a really strong opinion. Right. I'm like, I just realized it with you. Yeah, you just start realizing, like, I didn't realize that was a big thing for me. Yeah. Apparently. So that's amazing. Yeah. I'm very, very excited for you. Yeah. It's going to be, and I'm happy to be along for the ride and help in any way I can. Yeah, it'll be fabulous. Because I have so much to give. And I should tell your viewers that some of you that enjoyed our first conversation on the Nooner Show, I remember saying that for a while there I had to sell Legos. And I've actually heard from people since then that are, know us both, like, oh, the Lego thing. And I would like to report that the last 3 months have been very good for me. And I now have a closet full of new Star Wars Legos. Yay! Yeah. So that's so awesome. It is very cool. So I've replaced, and then some, the ones that I had to sell. Right. So it's like, it all comes full circle. Like you do the things that you need to do to grind, and knowing that this is going to come back, this is going to be okay. Yeah. And just like those, wrenches that keep getting thrown in the mix, you just have to bat them away. All right, what's next? What's next? And be in it, though. Sit and watch the Netflix for 3 hours with a bowl of popcorn. Yeah. For me, it was about a 3-month period after I closed up my old business. It was like 4 years ago, and I literally just lived off the sale of a lot of assets and laid in bed for 3 months, and that's what I needed. Yeah. So
do what you have to do, and then pick yourself back up and
Yeah.
do what's needed.
Yeah, it's definitely not about how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up.
Right.
For sure. All right.
You're the coolest.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into the My Whim Life show today. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of the goodness coming your way. Mwah!